All right, welcome everybody. Like Saro said, I'm Robert from Staking Facilities. I usually go with Robs, so feel free to call me Robs. And for the next 10-15 minutes, I'm gonna bore you with some information about staking facilities and staking. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and I'll try to address it. Otherwise, after the talk, we can, have a small chat about it, or you can reach out to us via any of the channels that I will show you in the end. So, word of warning, unfortunately our absolute Polkadot OG Simon, this is this chap with the nice shorts over here, he's unfortunately on vacation, well-deserved vacation, but I think I can also share a few things about staking, especially staking on Polkadot, but in the future I think we will bring Simon down to Munich and he can shed more light on staking and node validation and running nodes on Polkadot and Substrate in general. So who are we? Staking Facilities is a Munich-based validator and node operator. We are active on many different blockchains, all of them proof of stake, obviously, but we also provide some infrastructure for other Web3 projects up the stack. Our core business is, of course, running hardware infrastructure that we have co-located in several DCs here in Munich. Two people from our tech team are present, Eric and Dimitri, so if you want to geek out on any tech questions, these are the guys you can hit up. But running nodes is not the only thing we do. We also offer customer support for retail investors, so if any one of you has questions about staking on Polkadot or any other network that we are active on, reach out. We also do some educational work. We also do customer support for for whales or institutional clients as well. And fairly recently, we launched a venture arm where we also invest into any projects building in Web3. Louis he spearheads the venture, so if you have any cool idea, you can pitch it to him. And apart from that, we also always, do community work like educational work, producing content, making sure that different stakeholders meet each other that we think should meet, and doing a lot of intros and events like this. So a few words on our core business. Like I said, we custom build our hardware. I don't touch the hardware, so don't worry. That's these guys, and we built them tailored to the specific network needs. So maybe Polkadot hardware is a bit different than Solana, and we make sure that we custom build every piece of hardware so it best serves the network. The cool thing is that we just don't spin up any instance in AWS or anything like that, so that we actually have physical hardware co-located in Munich so that it is within reach from our company headquarters, but also this helps the decentralization of the network because it doesn't all centralize at the AWS stack. Obviously, we also have some sort of monitoring in place, so if anything goes south, that we actually realize this and can go to work and fix this as quick as possible. Also we also always put down a substantial self-stake for any network that we operate on, so that we're best aligned with anyone who delegates to us, so our money is at stake as well. This is the team. This is the three of our founders and our chief information officer. Currently we're a team of 25 people, so we grew quite a bit. Compared to other validators, we are not as big because we are self-funded and bootstrapped, which is really cool because we don't have any big VCs or investors pushing us around or forcing us to support any network. We can be quite independent here, which is definitely a plus. And also what we saw, which was really sad, that in a bull market you earn money like crazy and you start hiring people and you start supporting any kind of network, then the bear market comes around and you have to lay off people. And I have to give credit to our founders. They did a really good job of not doing this. That meant a lot more work for us, but at the same time also now we're still independent. We didn't have to lay off anyone even though we had a bear market. And as you see, we're quite tech focused. That's the most of our manpower is within the tech team. We're currently also hiring across the board. The job postings are still not on the website, but if you are interested and if you're not a techie, maybe marketing is more your flow, then hit us up, hit me up, shoot us an initial application. We're always happy to connect. Like I said, we're active on different layer 1 blockchains. Many you can see here, also some are upcoming. And our venture arm, big shout out to Louis, is very driven and very engaged. So we did some few investments in the past. Currently there's a few in the pipeline that I didn't put on there just yet. And as you can also see, we're active across the stack. So we have layer 1 such as Polkadot, but also middleware, end user facing applications. So anything that we can get our hands on and anything that we think pushes our investment thesis forward, we're interested in investing. And one such thing is Polkadot and Kusama. And before I go into staking on these networks, you might wonder, okay, why did we end up supporting Polkadot? And we take a very structured approach to our decision making. And when we look at networks, we look at several things. First and foremost, the team, because at the end of the day, it's technology by the people and for the people. So if we think the team is strong on executing and has the knowledge, that's a big topic we look at. That doesn't mean that we only look at senior teams. Sometimes also younger teams are even more driven. They might lack experience, but at the same time, they make up for it in their drive. And I mean, Polkadot, I think Gavin Wood, Robert Habermeyer are super strong candidates. I think it's quite obvious that they have a strong team. They did a few good hires. Tech is also very solid. I mean, it's hard to find someone with such an expertise as Mr. Wood, I would say. The vision and the roadmap of Polkadot is also something that we can align ourselves with. This also feeds into our theses. We're thesis-driven validators, so we support networks that we think fit into our theses. And one of such is a multi-chain future. And I think it's quite obvious that Polkadot is also subscribing to that, so that's why we saw a big match. Tokenomics is another metric that we look at. Are the tokens distributed fairly? Can we access a fair amount of tokens early on so that we can put down the substantial self-stake that I said in the beginning? Developers and the overall ecosystem is something we look at. We like it if the networks, especially in the beginnings, are very developer focused, because at the end of the day, developers are building the products that bring people into the ecosystem. So it's a good starting ground. And we also have like a VC approach, kind of, that we do like this spray and pray that from, like, you invest in different projects and hope one of them will make it. We just don't invest and then let it sit there. That would be bad. We believe that we should also do some work, and not only running infrastructure, but also building, helping with the ecosystem, content work, and all that. But what fits into this spray and pray approach is that we also invested, or that we also run infrastructure for Cosmos, where some of you might say, okay, why both of them are doing the same? Aren't they competitors? Why are you investing in both? I mean, does it make sense? It does make sense if you look at it from this VC approach, like the spray and pray approach, but also you could, if you picture a spectrum where you have shared security model, like with Polkadot, and sovereign chains with Cosmos, I think this is a spectrum rather than something binary. And we believe both approaches are justified. Time will tell which approach will prevail. Maybe both will prevail. They will mix and mingle probably. It's really hard. I mean, you can also tell, I don't know if you seen the news about the Cosmos 2.0 or the Atom 2.0 white paper, you can already see that Cosmos is becoming more Polkadot-like. At the same time, Polkadot is becoming more Cosmos-like on some fronts. So this is already mixing, and I think we think it's good to have exposure to both, because most of the time both networks or both ecosystems can cross-pollinate each other. And I think we think there's spillover effects to be made, and there's enough room for both of them to coexist. All right, so this is why Polkadot, now also what, or this is why Substrate, now also what Substrate. Like a few of our ecosystem plays we are running validator nodes for Polkadot and Kusama. Unfortunately, we're not in the active set right now, so if you have a few spare DOT or KSM lying around, you can nominate us. We would be really happy about it. I think we dropped out of the active set late summer, probably because of the parachain auctions. A lot of people withdrew their DOT, and we had many people who were really active in the ecosystem early on, smaller stake holders, and I think they just needed their funds for something else. Up until recently, we also ran nodes for Hydra, now being a parachain, doesn't need its own validator set. And Etcher is something that we recently shut down. We were with Etcher from the very beginning. We really like their governance focus. But at the end of the day, we are a for-profit business. We are bootstrapped. We have a small team. We have to carefully manage our resources. And with Edgeware, we had to be honest that it's putting more resources, especially time and money towards it, wasn't paying off. So we had to make the tough call. We wish the team all the best, and by all means, we don't want to predict anything bad to them. It's just that we had to look out for ourselves, and that's why we decided to shut down. And also in the beginning, I said that we also want to support ecosystem up the stack. So we are recently spun up a vault for Interlay. Interlay is, most of you know it, especially the one that put DeFi down there. Is like they produce or they want to build a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin kind of for the Substrate ecosystem, and we're running a vault there to test the waters also on the DeFi front for Substrate. And way in the beginning, it feels like an eternity. I think Louis, you have some good memories for that too. We built the staking wizard, which was an interface because, like Saro said, UX is the Achilles heel for crypto so far, and Polkadot was really, really bad in the beginning. So back then we were, I think, 6 people in the team, and we built an interface to make Polkadot staking more seamless, more frictionless. And that's why we came up with the staking wizard, which batched transactions together, made the staking process smoother by explaining some concepts, because this is all new and funky technology and super complicated. But eventually we shut it down because the maintenance just took up too much of our resources, and it was just a free-to-use tool. And we also made the call, like we said, okay, there's other people who are wallet providers or who build other tools that are more end-user facing than staking. So we gave this up, but it was a cool experience. And I think today with the staking dashboard that Saro hinted on, and that I will also talk a bit more later, is going into that direction. I think the Polkadot ecosystem finally picked up on that they need to make everything a bit more user-friendly. More user-friendly. Something that is really cool in Polkadot or in any Substrate chain is that it has this push for decentralization baked right into its core protocol. Something that other networks such as Solana or Cosmos also recently picked up, that they need to make sure that this network stays somewhat decentralized on the stake layer. So that means that not big validator nodes or big exchanges who spin up validator nodes, that they can cross-finance with their exchange business, accumulate too much stake, and then therefore are able to control the network. We saw this happen on some chains. They try to address this with liquid staking or foundation delegation programs, or with capped staking rewards after you reach a certain threshold. In Polkadot, they realized this right from the beginning by implementing nominated proof of stake, which is like a nuanced version of delegated proof of stake, which is a nuanced version of proof of stake. I hope you're still with me. And this basically just means that instead of me delegating only to Saro's validator, I can nominate up to 16 validators. So I'm spreading my stake right from the beginning, and then every era, that's a time measurement in Polkadot, the validator set gets shuffled, new validators get into the set, and the stake of all the nominators get distributed towards them evenly, with your stake always backing the validator you nominated with the least stake, so that your rewards are optimized. And the cool thing here is that by default, or you are actually nudged to delegate to more than one validator, because let's assume that I would just stake with staking facilities, as is the case right now. We are not in the active set, so my stake won't earn any rewards because they're not in the set, they're not producing blocks. So I miss out on any rewards, whereas if I would have nominated Saro's validator and a few others, 15 others, I have a higher chance of my lottery ticket entering the lottery bowl, and therefore kind of higher chance of earning rewards. So really cool, really complicated. Like, try to explain this like to your mom or to your dad. Like, it's really hard to explain blockchain. It's really hard to explain staking. Impossible to explain nominated proof of stake, especially if you have rational people, like they just want to get it done quickly. They want to delegate to one validator with the least fee. And if you try to explain this, it's really hard. If you want to dive deeper, we have a video on our YouTube where our CTO explains this with a bit more details, also with some examples. So the idea behind this, very cool. Implementation, very difficult. So definite plus, favors decentralization, but also introduces bottlenecks, two precisely. One is that it, like I said, it increases complexity, and the other one, it also introduces some exclusivity. Because we saw in the last 2 years when Polkadot was live that the minimum amount of Polkadot you needed to actually be able to earn any rewards kind of increased. I think tops was almost 200 DOT, which is quite a bit of money, even in a bear market. Right now it's 10 because they did some upgrades to make this lower, but still they cannot lower it to a threshold where it doesn't matter if you own 0.1 DOT or whatever. And I mean, we're all quite lucky here. 10 DOTs is something we could all scramble together and somehow manage to get, especially in the bear market. But imagine now the bull market, Polkadot does 100x, no way you can just simply afford to put down 10 DOTs. And also if you look, I mean, these networks shouldn't be only for the rich people in the West. These networks should be for everyone. And then 10 DOTs is already a sum where you can never, you're shut out the door right from the beginning. And obviously this is not no secret. I think the folks at Polkadot are way smarter than I am, and they also realize this, so they are trying to tackle these bottlenecks with two verticals. The first one, and that's the cool thing about blockchains, right? They're open, so many people can build. You have a long tail of developers who can contribute to it, and B, they're able to evolve. So they tackle these bottlenecks with two verticals, the staking dashboard and nomination pools. I'm going to briefly talk about both of them. First, the staking dashboard. I think Saro showed you the dark mode. I used the light mode. You can choose whatever. And basically, it's just one interface that is tailor-made to staking and nominating. I'm not sure how active you are in the Polkadot ecosystem, but Polkadot.js was usually the go-to interface to do anything Polkadot related, but it was super feature-rich, which was at the one hand really cool, but at the other hand it made it really complex. You didn't know what was going on. It was very complicated to navigate. There was some actions were hidden behind two tabs and a tooltip, and then you have to click here, and quite the mess. And they finally built this staking dashboard, which makes it very straightforward. You simply hook up your wallet, and then it gives you a nice overview of what you have in your wallet. Also, what's really cool, it's probably hard to see for you guys, but they also included tooltips behind every term that might not be too obvious, which is cool for onboarding more people, because not everyone knows what a nominator is, and why should you. This is really cool. It also has a section specifically only for nominating. And I think we might have inspired them with our staking wizard, because they also have some pre-selected staking strategies that you can choose. So for instance, you only want to nominate validators with the best track record or with the lowest fee, or spread around the globe. So this makes it really easy for you to choose a strategy without having to go through every validator on Polkadot and see who best fits your needs. They will also have support for nomination pools, which are not yet live on Polkadot. They are on Kusama, but this will come to the dashboard then as well. They also have a nice overview of payouts, so your staking rewards, which is really interesting if tax season comes around. So keep track of your staking rewards, because as we all know, nothing in life is certain except death and taxes. So you better be prepared. And this makes it really easy. You just hit it, and then you see all your payouts. Should be enough for Mr. Taxman. What's also really cool is they have a community overview where you can check out some validators, learn more about them. Where are they based? Do they have a website? Are there actually people behind this? What's their commission fee? And you can do some cool research there. But the most the most interesting or a really interesting new vertical coming to Substrate is our nomination pools. As I said, they're live on Kusama. They're not live yet on Polkadot, but they will be soon. And what nominations pool do, they break off these minimum stake threshold, as well as they increase the maximum amount of people who could actually participate. Because right now, minimum stake is 10 DOT, and there's a maximum amount of nominators who are able to earn rewards on Polkadot. I think it's 22,500 right now, and this is capped. The network can handle more. And nomination pool basically allow DOT holders like you and I to pool our funds together and together we kind of form one single nominator. So behind one nominator, there's now a pool of people together. You could have done this already. Like I could have told you, hey, send me all your dots and I will stake for you. But then, I could just run away and have your dots. And this is not possible. This is all done on a protocol level. You have one person who is responsible for managing this. I think it's called the depositor, who initiates the pool, who also manages the pool. But the funds are escrowed by the protocol, so whoever initiated the pool cannot just simply run away with your funds. They can choose different validators to stake with, which could influence you in a bad way, but they can't steal your funds, which is really cool. And also, what's also really cool, that the depositor has to be the last man or last woman standing when closing the pool. Fair word of warning, so far all the discussions around the pool, like what validators you want to delegate to, or if you want to, stop the pool or whatever, has to be done off-chain, so in Telegram groups or forums or whatever. So there is a certain level of trust required. It's also cool that pools can be permissioned or permissionless. So maybe you have a DAO or a cool society, and you can tell your members, hey, I'm spinning up this nomination pool. Let's all chip in and get this up and running so that we can earn together, which is, I think, really cool. And as staking facilities, we also plan to initiate a few pools so that the whole network becomes more inclusive. That was a lot, and I tend to talk fast. I hope you're still with me. But yeah, if you have any questions, if you want to learn more, if you want to chat, hit us up. Like I said, these are my colleagues. You can also bug them. But let's stay connected. All of our information, all of this information is also on our website, stakingfacilities.com. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for having me. And yeah. Yeah, are there any questions? Otherwise, we can also do this later.
How many percent is it in a year?
I think adjusted for inflation, it's 6. But then it depends on your validator's commission fee. So if the validator charges a commission fee of 100, that's a red flag. You shouldn't delegate to them because they will eat up all your rewards. But I think the average is around 5, and that should end up with around an APY of 5%. We charge 3% commission fee.
So, like with the increasing energy prices, like how do you think like it will impact this digital asset or infrastructure?
That's a very good question. The thing is that proof of stake is far less energy needs far less energy than proof of work. And most of the data centers that we work, they already have a sustainable energy sourcing, for the lack of a better description. So I think it's fairly manageable. I think if it increases to a degree where we run into difficulties with our daily operations, I think we will run into difficulties with our daily lives first. So it's a good question, but I think it should be fine for proof of stake networks.
Okay.
Proof of work is a different story.
And all these data centers are offshore or within the EU?
Come again?
Like all these data centers or data processing unit, they are within EU?
Yes, for us, yes, but some people have a rack at their home. They can save then on heating, but yeah, it depends on what validator you want to delegate to. But that's a good question. I mean, you can, if you see an interesting validator, ask them about, hey, where are your nodes? How are you managing your nodes? And for us, we choose the co-location in data centers. Any more questions? Okay. Thank you.